Hello and welcome to round 3 of the NPL. Adamstown Rosebuds up against Valentine Phoenix here at Adamstown Oval. We're just going to have a short Anzac Day service and then I'll introduce my guest commentators today.
They shall grow not old, as we that are left grow old. Age shall not weary them, nor the years condemn. At the going down of the sun, and in the morning, we will remember them. Lest we forget.
So back here on Bar TV, Adamstown Rosebud up against Valentine Phoenix, round 3 of the NPL on the delayed stream here on Bar TV. With me in commentary today, I've got Chris Turner and Damien Smith. And first up, Chris, big match this one for both sides. They haven't won this year, and both will be looking for the 3 points.
Yeah, talking to both coaches earlier this morning and last night, both talking about the importance of the game and what it means to them. So getting off and getting some points is really important, and they'll both be thinking that today's a really good opportunity for both of them to do that. Really going to be very strong in the way that they come out in the first 15, 20 minutes will be really determining, or I think will dictate, a lot of the game today. But I know their intentions, each of them are going to be very direct about, playing in each other's halves and making sure that they get good domination early.
Now, no 19s and 22s matches that have been played on the pitch already, so the pitch is going to be in good nick. It's the first match, I'm pretty sure, that is going to be, it's the first NPL match that will be played on the pitch after the drainage has been done here at Adamstown Oval. Now we'll go to you, Damien. What are your thoughts on this big round 3 clash?
Yeah, I tend to agree with Chris. It's going to be a very tight affair. I think both teams are desperate for the 3 points today. I think Adamstown want to shore up their defence. They've leaked 10 goals in the last 2 games. And from all reports, Valentine were very unlucky not to get the points last week. So I think 2 desperate teams looking to win.
Well, last week, Adamstown went down 3-1 to Hamilton. That was last Saturday night at Darling Street. And last week, Valentine went down 3-2 against Maitland at Karlova. We are underway. Krajewski playing it back, and Adamstown are going to go back, looks like, to Scott Carter first up. Yeah, that was a very interesting battle, that one at Karlova. Probably one of the games of the season that I've witnessed, but I'm sure there'll be many others that will be just as good later on down the track. Valentine and Maitland, not short of excitement, that one. Schrader playing it forward towards Alex Reid. Coming across from Maitland, Alex Reid, to Adamstown this season. Valentine with Burrell now. Across to Ridge Marpu. And now down the line. It was interesting last week, Chris. Valentine played a very... Maitland sort of sat back, and you expected Maitland to attack after playing on the counter-attack against Hamilton in round 1. They sort of sat back again against Valentine last week, and Valentine played really well, I thought, in the first half. They were unlucky not to score a few more goals, a penalty saved, and probably unlucky to lose last week, I thought, Valentine.
What's going to be interesting here is you look at the strike power that Adamstown have got. They've got Matty Paul playing on the left side, looking at the way they're shaped up. So they've got one up front, which is Harkin. Canley, so we haven't seen him play actually for a little while.
Here's a ball for Swadling. He's looking into the middle for Brenton Olzema. 3 goals already this season in just his first 2 matches. It's been a great find for them.
So looking at their lineup here, with Adamstown, we can see 4-2 holders. Daniel Clements just on the ball there, and then out to Matty Paul. So 4-2-3 and 1 up front, with Harkin just laying it back off. What I was saying here is really interesting about these 3 attacking guys. In Matty Paul, Joey Grudevsky, who's just come out of
Broadmeadow Magic last year, he played 22s.
Yeah, and he's a very, very skillful player, I'm told. I haven't seen a whole lot of him, to be honest. And then you've got Alex Reid on the right-hand side. So with the strike power of what they have there, you're not going to expect to see them sit back in the game and let the game come to them. And as we're already seeing, they're pretty keen to get the ball forward into those sorts of areas.
Now, we just got an injury here. Darren Cooper's gone down. I didn't actually see what happened. And he's going to get some attention from the Valentine trainer. So not quite sure what happened. But Hucken Carnley, he played for Lambton last year. He was impressive for them, I thought, in the matches that we did last year. And last week, he set up the goal that Matt Paul scored late on in the piece. So I think he's going to be a key out there for Adamstown today.
Yeah, absolutely. And another key for Adamstown is Scott Carter coming back in the team. Damien, you've coached him for it's at least 5 years. What do you think his contribution will be today and the difference that he makes to the team?
Yeah, I think Scott's got a significant contribution today. Scott came to Broadmeadow when he was about 16 and made his debut at 16. So he's sort of a season campaigner now. So I think Scott's going to be a massive addition to Adamstown today.
Reese Pettit brings it across to Burrell now. Goes back to Bayana Marco. It was good for Valentine last week, Bayana Marco. Apart from that error right on full time, Matt Thompson putting it into an empty net after him controlling the ball. He was charged down his clearance. Ridge Marpu on the ball now. Came off the bench last week into the starting side this week for Valentine. Looking up the line towards Matt Paul, but Darren Cooper's there, recovered from the injury. Trying to cut inside Darren Cooper. Plays it back to McGinley, who shot not one of his best. And over the byline, a goal kick. The result for Scott Carter.
Yeah, and that's not going to trouble Carts. He's got that one covered. I mean, I think, with McGinley, he's a quality player, and he's got his brother playing on the left side. Looking at their formation while they're set up as well, we have 4, 2 holders, 3, and 1 up top. So 4-2-3-1 again. So combination of the McGinley brothers is really important for them. They're no strangers to Valentine now, and they've really established themselves a good part of the competition.
Well, here's a ball wide for Yaxley. Good foot in there from Chris Brown on that far side. He was good in defence for Valentine last week against Maitland, and again there, good interception, and it's going to be a corner kick. Looks to be Matt Paul who is heading over to take that one. So a chance for Adamstown to get on the board early in this one. Here is Matt Paul, swings it in with his left, over Bayana Marco. Payne Marco totally misjudged that one in goals for Valentine.
Talking to Graham Law this morning, and he was saying that he actually, it's a big part of his game. He's going to get in behind and around the or down the touchline all day, and it's something that's going to be a feature for them. So creating opportunities, turns into a corner. Matty Paul whips in there, really dangerous. You can expect, and we're seeing already that Adamstown are going to be pushing as much and as hard as they can early in the game.
Wide now for Burrell, who looks down the line for Ridge Marpu, and Marpu's got some space, but he's just offside. Was lucky he was offside because he has pace to burn, and free kick for Adamstown, just outside, 10 metres outside their 18.
Damien, you've coached Chris Berlin before, yep?
Yes.
For a few years, actually. And him being on the bench today, that's an interesting leave out from Graham Law. What are your thoughts on that?
Yeah, I've seen the first game with Chris versus Magic, and I thought he was a bit isolated up front. I didn't see last week's game, so I can't really comment about that, but he's going to have a major impact in the last 15 minutes or whenever he comes
Ball
on.
over the top for Alex Reid, and his touch just a bit too heavy. Back to you, Damien, speaking there about Chris Berlin on the bench for
Yeah, so I
Adamstown.
think Chris is still going to have a big impact in this game when he gets on. So just an interesting fact, the grass is looking a bit furry today, and the ball, the run of the ball is a bit slow. So
It was running very slow at Carl Oval last week. They've kept the grass long, so probably be similar conditions to probably what it was out at Carl Oval last week.
but in saying that, the pitch is looking immaculate, bar the drainage lines. It's looking, top shape. Probably the best I've seen it in a few years.
And Littlewood bringing it wide to Schrader, who plays it now to Porwick.
It's probably the first real chance of the game there for Alex Reid, and he will be disappointed with his first touch. He had that one a little bit close to his body, and he's got a fairly straightforward slot home, which you'd back him to do sort of 98 times out of 100. So just disappointing, but a great opportunity. So I think Valentine need to be very, very careful at the speed that they've got with Matt Paul and Alex Reid playing on those wide inside channels. Can you say that? Wide inside channels? Probably not. But he's playing like a narrow role. It's not like he's playing out wide. And he can come in from deep.
Here is Hucken Carnley, brings it back to Paul, now to Dan Clements. Back to Carnley, now Grajewski with some space down this near side. He's got Ridge Marpu coming across in defence. Carnley, back to Paul, controlling possession nicely here, Adamstown.
But one of the key things that Graham Law was talking about this morning was their ability to keep the ball. He said they haven't done that, and they've been working and focusing on getting that done. So, like he's saying right now, great, you held the ball up well, Harkin, and then it kept us in the game. So what they've got to do is keep the ball for longer periods, and it'll just frustrate them. Valentine?
Now, I thought that was the issue for Adamstown last week. They just couldn't control possession against Hamilton. They were just too strong Olympic last week.
Yeah, and that's what he was talking about. He's saying that they just gave the ball away too much. But you can see now, players are looking for the football. We've got space and...
Ball through Burrell and now back to Chris Brown. But I must say, Hamilton Olympic were impressive last Saturday night. And then yesterday, knocking over Lambton 3-0. Shows that result from Adamstown last week wasn't as poor a performance as what it probably looked on the score sheet. So they did well to get that score, finish that match at 3-1 Adamstown. Lambton beaten 3-0 yesterday, and Olympic probably not as good as they were against Adamstown, but still it was a good performance from them. The ball across now to Burrell. Ridge Marpu now on the ball. Trying to play it through, looking for his captain, Scott McGinley. Littlewood's doing well down there and wins the goal kick for Scott Carter. Relieving a bit of pressure there for the Rosebuds.
Yeah, Ben, I watched Adamstown versus Magic the first round, and I thought in patches Adamstown looked quite good. I think just a few defensive errors sort of cost them in the end. So, I think it's going to be interesting today.
I was surprised with Graham Law's comments coming out of that game because he was so positive about his side's performance, and losing a match 7-2, you don't expect a coach to be like that. But he was very much pleased with how they performed against Magic in round one.
Yeah, I think just a few defensive errors, like playing out from the back, getting caught, and probably maybe strategically they could have sort of positioned themselves better, a few of the players. But otherwise, I think, they did quite well in patches.
Here's Swaddling now. He's impressive last week. Josh Swaddling on his left. Oh, Scott Carter gobbles that up like a first or second slip would.
That's
in a
the
game of
luxury.
cricket. Wow.
The luxury of having Scott Carter in goals like that. Even a terrific strike, but gee, he had it covered well, and it's got to be a particularly good finish to get past him. His ability and his mobility is just outstanding, and gee, he really flattened himself out there horizontally to pick it up, and he's got good hands, Damien, hasn't he?
Oh, he's got brilliant hands. He's also very sharp over 20 yards, so even the way he propelled himself towards the ball was extremely good. But also, he didn't parry the ball as well. He kept hold of the ball, which is quite hard to do, so great save, Scott.
And here is the ball just going over the sideline. A little mistake there from Adamstown, and now a chance for Valentine to go on the attack. But I must say, from the angle that we are sitting at here, that we saw that shot perfectly curling in towards the back post, the back corner. Scott Carter just flew through the air and plucked it out of the air. It was a brilliant take. And now with Dan Clements, he's turned it over to Darren Cooper, and now Olsmer on the ball. Very dangerous for Valentine. Scott Carter yelling at his side, and that's definitely another benefit of him, keeping that defence organised at the back. But here's Grajewski playing it towards Huck and Carnley, who goes down. No free kick from the referee. Here's Paul McGinley, unable to keep control, and Dan Johnson with the throw for Adamstown. Goes to Grajewski. Back to Littlewood. Schrader at the back, who's played. Yeah,
this is
in
Dylan
the USA.
Schrader.
Dylan.
Yeah, so we've got this discussion with Graham Law this morning, telling us that he's played with Dynamo Houston, who I believe, Damien, you may know, but they play in the. Is it in the top league in the United States?
In the MLS, the Major League Soccer.
Is that right?
I'm not 100% sure, but I do know that's the top league.
Or is it college?
It might be.
League. No, it's not. It's the division above. So he tells me anyway.
It's above the college system over in the US. So I'll have to look into that a little bit more. But they've also got Dylan Schrader, and they've got Callum Gallagher, who's come over from Derby, and Alex Clark from Liverpool. So they've got a few players that have come from overseas Adamstown.
Yeah, well, I guess that's the beauty of Graham Law into this competition, isn't it, Damien? Where, he's got some connections from Britain, and he's obviously using those, and he's had the opportunity to help one or two of the local players here get connections over there for holidays and trials and all sorts of things.
Here's Scott Carter with the free kick. With that long and up towards Huck and Carnley. He tried to control, but just turned it over. Swaddling turning on the ball. Saw he's got plenty of space over. He's got plenty of pace, I should say, Josh Swaddling. And wins the free kick there for the Phoenix. Reece Pettit to Burrell.
We'll keep a close eye on Dylan Schrader, because this, he's obviously played in a quality league, and see.
Here's Brown whipping it in towards Olsmer, headed away, and now Grajewski up towards Huck and Carnley.
And see if we can pick up any subtle differences, Damien. You might be the best one for this as well, where how tight that he'll stay on his player, whether he'll come up off his line a bit earlier, or whether he's happy to sit. Just depends on what you're used to and the systems you get conditioned to game after game. So it'd be great to see how he goes. Here he's on the ball.
Well, he plays it wide to Yaxley. It's down that far side of the ground. Cutting inside, he's got Swaddling putting a little bit of pressure on him. Alex Reid hasn't been involved too much early on in this one. Still Alex Reid on the ball. Playing it towards Huck and Carnley. Huck and Carnley, an Australian representative in futsal, went over to Belarus with Matt Hall last year. Playing for Broadmeadow Magic, Matt Hall this year.
Yeah, I think Harkin gives a new dimension, or a different dimension to Adamstown. He can hold the ball up well. He's come in between the lines a few times today. He's dropped deep to pass the ball off. So I think he's doing quite well in this part of the game.
I think it's good, gets a bit more of an opportunity, Huck and Carnley's. Here he is, playing it back towards Clements, but Darren Cooper getting there first. Now with Johnson, appeals for handball, but probably not too much of an impact there, played by Dan Johnson's arm and him controlling. It's ball over the top now, looking towards Yaxley. Chris Brown is going to let that one run over the line, and it will just be a goal kick for Bayanamako.
Yeah, Smudge, like you're talking about Harkin here, you know, in that situation. So you feel a bit sorry for Chris Berlin being left out of the side, because you'd have him in pretty much any side, really. He's a player of his quality. And back to Harkin, what he can do, he's going to hold the ball up. He's going to be able to play really well in tight areas, don't you think? You know his game better than most.
Here's McGinley with the ball, looking for his brother Scott. Scott Carter comes out, knocks that one over the sideline. Flying at Scott Carter. And now swaddling into the middle. Referee just holding things up here, as someone said something to the referee. The throw may have to be retaken.
Yeah, so that combination with Harkin up front, so his ability to hold the ball, Damien, and the three guys in behind him, then you've got your two holding midfielders. That's a real link for them, don't you think? You know, he's able to link it up pretty well.
Yeah, that's right. And you can play both in the starting side, just depending on what shape you're playing, who you're playing against.
Here's Swaddling, cutting it back into the middle. Good foot in there from Dan Johnson. And Yaxley brings it away.
And you can also set the side up to play to both players' strengths. Like Harks holds the ball up, where Chrissy Berlin's better getting played in behind with his pace.
Chipping ball over the top, looking for Matt Paul. Ridge Marpu doing good defensive work there and lets it run down to Bayanamako in goals. Interestingly enough, Bayanamako represented Kazakhstan at under 16s level. So he's a quality goalkeeper. Looking the ball through, Yaxley with the interception. Goes to Reed, back to Yaxley. And turned over to Scott McGinley, who had that penalty save last week by Matt Trott, probably one of the best saves we've seen in the NPL in a long time. Matt Trott saved last week. And now with Reese Pettit, bringing it up over the halfway line for Valentine Phoenix. Chris Brown on the left boot, looking for Brenton Olzema. Sniffing around for another goal. Looking for his fourth of the season. And now wide to Ridge Marpu. Still Ridge Marpu. Towards the middle, Olzema getting there with the head, but Schrader also there. Once again doing well at the back. And that ball long, not towards anyone from Matt Paul. And match just still a little bit of a chess match out here, Chris. Just over 17 gone in the first half.
Yeah, certainly the first sort of 3 or 4 minutes, 5 maybe, we had Adamstown in the press, now Valentine doing the same thing.
Ridge Marpu, great tackle there from Dan Johnson, formerly of South Cardiff, coming across to Adamstown this year.
Yeah, it was a great tackle by Dan Johnson, but I think he just needs to be a bit careful there. He gave Marpu a little bit of room, and Marpu could have dragged him on the inside as well. So, yeah, Dan, I think just needs to come across a little bit quicker. I think the back four from Adamstown need to shift a lot quicker when Valentine do the switch.
Here's the corner kick. It's Josh Swaddling that's going to take it for the Phoenix. Here he is, Swaddling towards the back post. Reese Pettit got up high, and now Scott McGinley. Cleared away nicely by Paulick. And now Hucken Carnley. 3 Valentine defenders around him. He just hangs onto the ball. He, as I said, very good close control. And now Marpu doesn't control, and Matt Paul almost gets a chance to have a shot on goal. But really, over the opening 20 minutes of this match, it's probably Josh Swaddling with the best chance with that left-footed strike. Scott Carter with the awesome save. And probably since then, we haven't had many attacking chances. As here's a ball over the top. Here is Swaddling again. Just as I say that, Valentine go on the attack. Back to Paul McGinley. Cuts inside Littlewood. Still McGinley, his shot slices off the side of his boot and over just for a goal kick.
Yeah, I thought Adamstown's back four got a little bit square there. Ball played over the top, so they just better be a little bit careful with with the long ball over the top from Valentine.
I hadn't heard much about the move from Ultima from Edgeworth into Valentine and what was happening behind that. Did either of you know about what happened there?
Yeah, I didn't know too much about that either, but he was impressive last year for Edgeworth, Brenton Ultima. And I thought that's a great buy for Valentine, bringing him across.
That's for sure. He was really impressive in the games that you and I saw together.
Yeah.
And he certainly created a lot of chances for them. He was always in and amongst the action. So for Valentine, it's a fantastic pickup.
And he won the penalty actually in the grand final last year, Brenton Ultima. He was fouled.
That's right, he did.
He was fouled in the box. I think it was Kyle Hodges actually. I didn't recognise at the time, but it was Kyle Hodges that fouled him for that first penalty, which Bren Hamill put away. The rest is history. Ball wide now. Alex Reid finds some space for Yaxley. Gets it on his right and plays it in towards the middle. Burrell with the header away. And Dan Clements is there again for Adamstown. Lovely ball to Matt Paul. Back to Clements. Now for Johnson on his left. Good defensive pressure from Brenton Ultima, but it's still with Clements. Still Dan Clements. Beautiful skill on the ball. And his shot, it goes wide. Just a goal kick now.
Clemo did really well there in creating some space for him. People always, in those situations saying, hit it, hit it, hit it. But if he hits prematurely, all he's going to do is hit it into someone. So he's got to wait for that little half a metre, which he did, created that, and then he can get a shot away.
What I'm liking about Adamstown at the moment is he's actually getting forward beyond Chris Brown. And he's got a few crosses in at the moment. So he's got a bit of engines actually. So it'll be interesting to see how he goes for the rest of the game.
Here's Swadling. There's some pressure from Yaxley. That's a good ball from Swadling in towards Ultima. And Scott Carter does well. He copped a little bit of a boot from Paul McGinley.
Yeah, Smudge, what you're saying about Yaxley, you're right. He's going to get into the game and get beyond them all day. I don't expect to see that. But the contrasting difference between him and Daniel Johnson is he's the sort of player that's going to sit in a little bit more and work his way into the game. And we saw that, just in that previous movement, he was sitting a little bit deeper and available to be picked up or pick the ball up, which eventually goes to Clements, who gets a shot on goal. So very different playing types of left and right fullbacks. And that's really good too, because you don't really necessarily always want the same patterns down the left and right side of the park. Good to mix it up.
Here's Paulick bringing it across to Owen Littlewood, who plays it to Dan Johnson. Back into Clements. Yeah, Adamstown really have controlled possession well in this match. In the opening, 23 minutes gone. And Valentine last week they were allowed to sit a lot higher up the pitch by Maitland, but this week Adamstown are taking the game to them, and Valentine haven't had too many opportunities down the attacking end. They've sort of been down there for a short amount of time. Grajewski now towards the corner. Burrell down there with some pressure and just the goal kick.
Yeah, I agree with you there, Ben. I think Valentine aren't really pressuring Paulick and Clements in the middle of the park. They just seem to have a lot of time on the ball, which is allowing them to switch play a few times. So I think Valentine just need to put a bit more pressure on the middle three of Adamstown, and I think, get them back into the game.
Here's Reese Pettit on the ball.
Yeah, was it something that Graham Law was saying this morning? He said they've talked about...
Chris Brown plays it in towards Olzamar. Schrader with some good defensive work.
Yeah, so he's talking about the emphasis on keeping the football, and you can see that. They're trying to just give themselves a yard. They're just bouncing off, as Reedy's just done now. Like just one bounce, and everything's nice and short. And you do that for longer periods, then all it's going to do is shift you into better field positions, and then, hopefully with a good shot on goal.
Yaxley trying to look for Alex Reid down the line and goes over the sideline. So Yaxley with the throw, back to Paulick. Yaxley goes into McGinley. Appeals for handball, which I thought probably were warranted there, but referee obviously didn't see it. And now Dan Clements with some space. Good, strong tackle from Paul McGinley. Plays it to Darren Cooper. Darren Cooper down towards the sideline. Spins and turns Darren Cooper. Back to Scott McGinley. That's a great tackle from Dane Paulick, I'm pretty sure. Out there it is, the number 6 for Adamstown. Brilliant defensive work there.
Yeah, and that previous move too, that ball from McGinley was a really good one. And Schreider, who we were just speaking about before, he read that perfectly and he got himself in a great position to pick that up. Otherwise, you know, what a good chance that was going to open up.
He's been impressive, hasn't he, Dylan Schrader, in this match for Adamstown early on. Any chance, he's been there to snuff it out 9 times out of 10.
Yeah, we're just watching him on the ball just there a minute ago. He's comfortable, he's not panicked. And you want that in your defenders, your central defenders. You want them to have some control and stability for you in the back. And when it's time to come out, they're not going to panic. They're going to play some reasonably good balls through the middle of the park. And, you know, we'll see him again now. You know, he's going to have a good look around. Is there something on? No, it's not. So I'm just going to roll it off again.
And what I like about him, he only takes his 2 touches. That's all. He doesn't dwell on the ball. He looks to play. He looks to try to get one of the deep midfielders in, or even Harkin coming short there. And that's a great ball to Huxley.
Yaxley back towards Alex Reid, and Chris Brown does the mopping up at the back and goes back to Bayana Marco. Valentine now try and play it out from the back, try and control possession. But if I had stats, live stats at the moment, I'd have to say Adamstown probably with at least 60% of possession in this match, as McGinley brings it wide to his brother Paul, who's just offside. Just haven't been able to get themselves into the game, have they, Valentine, yet?
No, not yet, but, you know, a long way to go. And I guess we were talking about possession with Adamstown. Do they get a bit frustrated later on, Damien? I don't know. If they don't and they can maintain possession, it's going to swing heavily in their favour. Tell you who I do like. I like the look of Yaxley. He's been on the ball a lot. He's been in and around him, and he's always looking for it. You can see now, even, you know, he's letting the Valentine field position draw towards the grandstand side. And look at him now. You know, he's on for the switch, and he knows it. What are your thoughts on him?
Yeah, so far mainly, or most of Adamstown's attacks been down that right-hand side, getting Yaxley involved. He's done well. He's a few crosses there, which have, you know, sort of caused a bit of pressure for Valentine. But I just think just on Valentine, they seem to be attacking more down this left-hand side as well. So I think Adamstown just need to watch out for the long ball. Also, they better be careful here, just playing around at the back as well. So.
And this is what you're talking about, Damien, with Adamstown when they played Magic, was that errors here at the back when they're turning it over, they're playing it between their defenders. And here's the free kick for Valentine. They gave the ball away, give away a free kick, but Magic were making them pay. Yes,
exactly right. And Magic have got a three-prong attack with very fast guys in Vigili, Fajovic and
Vigili.
And Carl Bradbury. And they were pinching the ball all the time off and when they were mucking around too much at the back. So that's where Adamstown just need to be a little bit careful, I think.
Do you have a little bit of a brain snap then?
As here's the free kick from Swaddling on his left foot. It's all right. Kyle Bradbury, the golden boot last year, it doesn't matter. Don't worry about him.
He was barely involved last year, you're right.
Kyle, forgive me.
Here's Schrader over the top. Well, Casaroli, I was going to say, you can add to that list as well. He was impressive last year, but he just sits in behind them. But what an attacking lineup they've got. A reminder, Wednesday night on Bar TV, we've got the live match, Lambton and Broadmeadow at Magic Park. Free kick to Adamstown. So that one is live at 7 p.m. It's the catch-up match from round 2, so that should be an absolute cracker. 6:30, I've been told. 6:30 kick off that one at Magic Park. And that should be a really interesting contest because Lambton, they're sitting at the bottom of the ladder, no points from 2 matches, which I would dare say probably wouldn't happen very often for Lambton Jaffers in the NPL since they've come up. That table at the moment, Edgeworth Eagles up the top, 3 wins from their 3 matches played, and then Hamilton Olympic sitting right in behind them on 7 points. And then a big drop back to Charlestown and Maitland, but they've only played the 2 matches, so both those 2 sides have been impressive this year. Edgeworth and Hamilton, the grand finalists from last year. Littlewood looking towards Grajewski. Brenton Olsema trying to get on the ball. But Chris, those 2 sides, Edgeworth and Hamilton, they've set the benchmark. I know Magic have only played the 1 match, and they'll be playing this afternoon. We'll try and get some scores from those other games. But those 2 sides from last year in the grand final, they're setting the benchmark early on.
Yeah, they certainly are. And Hamilton have come out even more impressive this year than what they did last year. Last year, some said that they started a little bit slow. Bolty will probably correct me on that later, but what they are doing is they're making a real statement early. We're here to win this thing, and they've started off that way.
Exactly. They were like that last week against Adamstown. That's probably the best performance I've seen from Hamilton in the last year and a bit. They were impressive. So 0-all those scores in the other games. So Hamilton, I should say, Maitland up against Charlestown and Western up against Broadmeadow Magic. So 2 interesting matches and locked at 0-all. So Littlewood up the line. That's a big match, Western and Magic. Western have struggled this year, and they've got a less experienced lineup than what they had last season, the Western Bears. But they went down to Magic last year in round 17, 1-0 at home. And that match was what caused them to miss out on the finals, losing to Magic. That was the matchup that would decide who got in the finals last year. It looks to be a handball against Valentine there. I'm surprised the ref hasn't seen it. Swaddling now over the top towards Olzema. Scott Carter comes out. His clearance wasn't fantastic, and he wins the free kick.
But
Olzema, I think, cleaning him up. I didn't quite see it. It was off the ball, but back to you, Damien.
Yeah, I think Adamstown better be careful. I mentioned it once or twice. They're just a bit square at the back, and Valentine's knocked the ball over the top a few times, so I think they just need to be very careful on that. It's happened about on 3 occasions. So
yeah, we've got Littlewood and Schreider that are obviously new together, so maybe they're filling each other out a little bit as well, you know. So yeah, you're right, Smudge. They do need to be careful.
Yeah, a lot of times they're very square. They need a little bit staggered, especially when when Valentine's looking for that long ball.
Here's Dan Clements going back to Scott Carter. And his ball goes straight over the sideline. So some pressure here for Valentine if they can take their chances here.
Interesting you're talking about Western. They're obviously a massive game for them today, and I happened to notice one of their more senior players.
Here's McGinley with the ball in. Scott Carter with a great take. Above Scott McGinley, but back to Western.
Yeah, so one of their more senior players, I happened to notice driving past his house this morning. He was washing the car, a little reasonably physical activity. So you think someone at his vintage on a big game day, he might just want to sit in the wheelchair in the morning, Damien. You think sit in the armchair and have a relax with a cup of tea rather than wash the car.
You're not talking about Robbie Turnbull.
That's exactly who I'm talking about.
So Robbie Turnbull doing some car washing on the big match before Magic. That's how he gets himself prepared.
Well, I don't know if Trevor Morris would be happy with that, but he was out there doing some stuff maybe he shouldn't have been doing.
It's a star for Western, isn't he, Robbie Turnbull?
Yeah, he is, mate.
Light on his feet, quick, passionate. No passion lacking when Robbie Turnbull hits the park for Western. And now Dan Johnson. Next weekend in the live match, we've got Adamstown up against Charlestown, so that'll be a good match as well. Another tight contest. And here's Matt Paul putting some pressure on Reese Pettit and Bayana Marco. Darren Cooper over the top. It's been turned over. It must have been a little shirt tug because Alex Reid was away for Adamstown there. Adamstown fans bemused by that decision.
Ben, I think if Adamstown could exploit Matty Paul coming a little bit wide, he's tucked in a little bit too much in attack. If he can come a little bit wider, because Ridge Mapu's pushing forward a bit, and there's a lot of space down this left-hand side for Adamstown.
Yeah, Ridge Mapu pushing very high up the pitch from right back, creating some attacking opportunities.
Exactly what you're talking about.
Like he is here. Here's McGinley, almost getting a shot on. Hucken Carnley, but this is where they find it tough when Ridge Mapu's got to get back. It's good for them in attack, but in defence, as you were saying, Damien, it just is going to hurt them if Matt Paul can pull a bit wider. Here's a ball over the top. Grajewski's pulled out of it. And Reese Pettit will run that one down. Coming from the under-18s Jets, merging Jets last year. Reese Pettit to Valentine, so a big year you'd think for him at the back for Valentine.
I mean, this is where the individual battles come in, though. So when Matty Paul sits in a little bit, maybe that's part of the strategy from Graham Law to get him tucked in so they've got that attacking quartet up front. But if he does, as you're saying, Damien, what he's doing is he's leaving Mapu, down his right-hand side, open often.
That's right, but the thing is, Daniel Johnson is not a out-and-out wide player up and down the line, so that's a great ball. Here's
Hucken Carnley with some space to Grajewski. Now Dan Clements. And this near side of the ground, Darren Cooper putting some pressure on him. Still Clements brings it back to Dan Johnson. Finds Hucken Carnley, but his first touch lets him down. And Valentine turn it over, and then Adamstown give it back to Scott McGinley, who puts it over the sideline, and now just a throw for Adamstown.
As I mentioned before, Hucken Carnley coming a little bit deeper, back into the midfield, holding the ball up very well, bringing the midfielders into plays, helping Adamstown get out of difficult situations like just before.
Here's Yaxley. He's got plenty of space on that far side of the ground. Back to Paulick. Back to Yaxley. Paulick again, so just Yaxley and Paulick just controlling possession for Adamstown. Brings it across to Clements. Got some space out here on the left, but no one out here for Adamstown. Here's Clements looking for the ball through for Matt Paul, who's scored 2 goals for Adamstown already this season. One against Broadmeadow Magic and then one against Hamilton last week. He only scored 2 last year, so equaling his efforts from 2015 in 2016 in just the 2 matches. Here's Olzema. Some space in front of him now. There's plenty of Adamstown defence around him, though. And Dan Johnson does a great job in defence. Paulick. That ball, I'm not sure what he's trying to do there. Dane Paulick just puts his boot right through it and just relieves a bit of pressure for Valentine.
There's a lot of space on this left-hand side in attack for Adamstown, so if they can exploit that towards the end of the game or even in the second half, early in the second half, I think they could be quite dangerous.
Here's Chris Brown cutting inside. And now looking for Olzema. Just on what you were talking about before, Damon, there is plenty of space in the wide areas when they're both sides are using them. Just then Chris Brown down that far side. And even on this near side, there was plenty of space before when Clements was cutting back into the middle. So both sides playing pretty compact.
What they've got to do, what's key here at the moment is...
Here's Olzema turning it over. Swadling has the shot, but there's not enough power on that one to trouble Scott Carter.
What's key here is for Mapu that you're talking about before, Damien, is that Matt Paul, he's drifting up high and inside, and the communication between him and Johnson's important. So Johnson really needs to plug up that hole so that Valentine can't expose him out.
Yes, exactly right.
Dan Johnson goes to Grajewski. Ridge Mapu putting some pressure on him. Ball back to Hucken Carnley. Grajewski back to Carnley. Grajewski again. Scott McGinley was threatening a slide tackle, just balked Grajewski, and now a ball from Reese Pettit, just a bit too late, and Olzema is offside.
That was a very good call by Dylan Schreider there. He told the Adamstown defence to step up while Olzema ran through to get offside for Valentine, so it was very good work.
So Owen Littlewood goes to Schrader, that man we were just talking about. It's been good at the back for Adamstown already this afternoon. Now Clements finds Matt Paul.
I think Valentine need to put pressure on the 2 deep midfielders for Adamstown here. They just have so much time on the ball and they're able to switch play quite easily.
Schrader playing it wide to Yaxley. As Damien said at the top of the broadcast, Adamstown 10 goals conceded in their opening 2 matches, so they've been pretty solid defensively for the opening part of this one. 38.5 minutes gone here on Bar TV. Round 3, it's Adamstown against Valentine as we see a free kick go Valentine's way. So round 3 matchup on Bar TV, brought to you by Top Better, who's our major broadcast partner in 2016 for all the winter codes. So great to have them on board.
Even though Valentine's got the free kick here, I think Adamstown can really exploit this left-hand side as Mapu's pushed up. If Medical Paul could break, once Adamstown win the ball, they could be in trouble.
Here's Burrell. He was solid last week for Valentine, Alex Burrell. And now Brown. Little 1-2, but it's been turned over. Schrader clearing it up towards halfway. Reese Pettit.
This is the management talking about Mapu at the moment. You can see he's completely alone, unmarked, and we've got Johnson dragged inside.
You're thinking they should exploit that. We'll just see Alex Reid now up over halfway. He's got some space. Ridge Mapu has got back.
See how Matty Paul came in. So I see how Matty Paul came inside then. If he stayed out wider, he would have had a one-on-one, heaps of space out on this left-hand side.
Here's Paulick. Wide to Clements. Clements plenty of time on the ball, looking towards Alex Reid. Matt Paul under some pressure from Darren Cooper, and Darren Cooper nods it wide to Paul McGinley. And Chris Brown now on the ball. Back to Paul McGinley.
Damien used to coach Chris Brown at Broadmeadow. Oh, here we go with Mapu.
Ridge Mapu now. Again down this right side. It's been an attacking weapon for Valentine already in this match, putting balls in, dangerous balls in. Scott Carter's had his work cut out for him. Darren Cooper, I should say. Reese Pettit now. Lovely ball by Olsema to Cooper. Now the ball to Swadling, and Scott Carter comes out and takes it nicely. Swadling's in trouble, actually. Swadling's in a lot of trouble. It looks to be a shoulder issue, I thought, as he went down. Scott Carter diving in low.
Yeah, it felt quite awkwardly. It's hard to tell exactly what happened. But just on that, Adamstown's defence, they're really starting like 10 deep into their half, so they're making it very difficult for Valentine to play through. Obviously, Graham Law has realised they've conceded 10 goals in 2 games. That's on average 5 goals a game, so he really wants to shore up this defence. And that's why I think Valentine's finding it quite hard to play, especially through the centre. However, they've exploited a few times on the outside with Mapu, so I think the only way Valentine's going to sort of threat Adamstown will be on the outside.
Well, last season, Adamstown only conceded 30 goals. So 30 goals in 18 rounds, and already they conceded a third of those in just 2 rounds. So it's a lot different story. They were 6th best in the competition last year. They finished 6th on the ladder. They also had the 6th best attack, 29 goals. So they had a pretty solid year last year, Adamstown, but they've lost a lot of that experience. So it'll be interesting to see where they do finish on the ladder this year. But I'm thinking probably similar position to where they were last year.
Yeah, and you talk about experience. I think just having Scott Carter back in goals, he's really barking at that back four, getting them organised and doing a great job. And they're looking very solid at the back.
I was saying before regarding Chris Brown, Damien, you coached him. I can tell you it was 9 years ago now that you coached him. You like that stat? It's true. 9 years ago you coached him. Do you see much of a difference in his game now and the way he plays versus what he used to when you had him?
Well, obviously 9 years ago he was 9 years younger, so I know we're sort of playing him left fullback, sort of left high wide. So he probably, if anything, had a bit more engines, but if anything, he's very similar player. He's always been a very good player, Chris Brown. So very accomplished player, and he had a few seasons back at South Carter before we pinched him.
Here's Scott Carter bringing it wide. Yeah, Chris Brown was very good for Valentine on the far side last week.
And does rate himself at table tennis.
He's good at table tennis. Well, Scott and Paul McGinley will just stick with Olsema. I'll come back to that in a sec. Olsema playing it towards the middle. Schrader. Gee, that was cool, calm and collected from Dylan Schrader. Just controlling it out of the box. But Paul and Scott McGinley actually are former New South Wales State doubles table tennis champions. So maybe Valentine, a lot of the Valentine players have a few table tennis competitions.
Maybe they
going
do.
on that. Chris Brown, Scott and Paul. Maybe there's another one we don't know about. Dylan Schrader now.
What I like about this Schrader, even just then when Lily would pass his ball, he just knocked it back off. He's not dwelling on the ball. He's keeping the ball moving.
And he's been good when he's not under pressure. Like he's seemingly very calm. So, nothing's a problem. You love that in your fullbacks. You don't want them to panic. You don't want them to be smashing it long. When you're saying, Damien, just that one touch straight out and gets them out of trouble. You get some guys that can do that at the back, it's going to make you a lot more successful.
And he's always looking to play forward as well, not backwards back to the keeper. He's always looking to play forwards to the midfield or Harkin dropping deep.
Here is Harkin Carnley. Now to Dan Johnson. Matt Paul. Goes back to Paulick. Still with Harkin Carnley. Paulick. Good control here from Adamstown. Here's Matt Paul diving in with Swadling. And the throw goes Adamstown's way. So good chance here for them.
Good point you make, Damien, because criticism in the last few years may have been that we play too often backwards, or sideways and back. And you're exactly right with Dylan. He's not in that mould. It's not any. You can tell it's not part of his thought process. Maybe that's something that's a little bit different, in the United States and the way that they're teaching their football. maybe it is, maybe it's not. Not sure, but certainly, him not panicking, that one touch forward more often than not. And you're right, he doesn't look to be going back to the keeper if he doesn't have to.
Burrell goes back to Amarco. Just 20 years of age, Bain Amarco, goalkeeper for Valentine. Chris Brown cutting inside. And now with Reese Pettit. And now with Burrell. Plays it towards Darren Cooper. Another one of the old guard for Valentine. 30 years of age, Darren Cooper. Chris Brown also 30. Alex Burrell, 29. So they've got a very experienced side, Valentine. With a little bit of youth as well, with Reese Pettit, just 18 years of age. So it's a good mix of ages in this Valentine lineup.
Look how deep Adamstown set their defence. It's just like 10 yards outside the 18-yard box, the whole 11 plays. So obviously they're desperate to keep a clean sheet today.
Here's Chris Brown with the throw. See if Valentine can create a big opportunity here. McGinley and Littlewood just goes back to Scott Carter.
Just coming up to 46 minutes. So depending on stoppage time, we're just about there.
Yeah, so you think not too much time left in the first half, and there isn't. That is half-time here at Adamstown Oval, and it's at 0-0 at the break between Adamstown and the Valentine Phoenix. So a good, close contest. I'll just check the scores at the other grounds before we do have a break. We've got Alex Reid who's going to join us. And at the other grounds, Western and Broadmeadow Magic, that one close to halftime at 0-0. That one up at Bear Park. And at Maitland, it's Maitland and Charlestown City locked at 0-0. And you would think that that match would be pretty windy up there at Cook Square Park today. Alex Reid from Adamstown joins us just before the break. And Alex, what did you think of the first half out there?
Yeah, not too bad. We kept the ball a lot better than what we normally do. But I think we just maybe try and penetrate them a little bit more and then try and get at least some shots on target.
Well, good luck for the second half, Alex, and go and see Graham Law at halftime.
Cheers, brother.
So halftime, Adamstown 0, Valentine 0 here at Adamstown Oval. We'll be back in a few minutes for the second half.
Hello. Hello.
Testing, testing, 1, 2, 3. Hello and welcome back. Second half just about to get underway at Adamstown Oval this afternoon. It's the Adamstown Rosebud up against Valentine Phoenix. Should be a cracking second half. First half, 0-0. So good chance for both of these two sides to get some goals and get some points going into round 4. On the ladder, both of these two sides down in the bottom half. Adamstown sitting in 10th. And Valentine Phoenix on 1 point in 6th spot on the ladder. So they've had the 2 matches. Just a draw in round 1 against Charlestown and then a loss last week against Maitland. And for Adamstown, they went down 7-2 against Broadmeadow Magic in round 1. And then last week against Hamilton, they went down 3-1. So 2 very, very tough matches to start the year for Adamstown. And we're just about to get underway in the second half. So we're underway. Valentine getting us underway in the second half, and Josh Murray playing it wide over onto that far side and unable to be controlled. That's the first time I've called Josh Murray in the match, I think.
You did mention that at half time. You were quick to get him out as soon as kickoff went.
I didn't know how much he touched the ball in the first half. I'm trying to think if they have made. He was definitely starting for Valentine, so interesting how it all works out.
Just on the first half, I think both coaches would be reasonably happy. Defensively, both have been quite solid, and there's only been a few clear-cut chances, but otherwise it's been very tight affair. However, I think Adamstown's just got the a slight edge in general play at the moment. So
Chris Brown now just in front of us on this near side of the ground now to Alex Burrell. 22 matches last year, Alex Burrell for Valentine, 3 goals. Had a fantastic year in the New FM League, finishing in first spot on the ladder, getting promoted to the NPL. And now Reese Pettit still going across the back for Valentine now. So they're controlling possession pretty well at the start of the second half. Darren Cooper back to Reese Pettit.
I think Adamstown are very eager to keep a clean sheet today. They're very deep in defence and very tight.
Here's Swaddling going down. No whistle from the referee. And Dan Johnson goes to Paulick. Now some pressure from Swaddling again on Dan Johnson. Good battle between those two over there, and Swaddling wins the ball. Pulls it wide. No Valentine player out on this near side of the ground. But good pressure from Paul McGinley, and Valentine with the throw now. So early on in the second half, opening couple of minutes, and Valentine putting the pressure on Adamstown. Olsema now turning on the ball. Olsema has the shot. Not a bad effort, but always going wide there from a former Edgeworth striker.
That's a good start. That's a good start from Valentine. I think Adamstown are just dropping a little bit too deep for my liking. I think they just need to push up a little bit and put a bit more pressure on Valentine's midfield, even their back four when they were on the ball.
So just Scott Carter with the goal kick now. Last season, Valentine 61 goals in the regular season, which was second in the league in terms of goals scored. Late Macquarie were first with 71, but Valentine's defence last year was pretty good. 19 goals conceded, so less than one a game last year. Valentine in the regular season they conceded. But already in the NPL, it's a step up, as we've seen, and as we know, 5 goals in 2 matches at 2.5 a game on average. So they'll look to improve that this afternoon, and they have done so. Both sides doing well defensively. Ridge Marpu played rugby league till he was 18, Ridge Marpu. 23 years of age now. That is an incredible stat. Incredible stat. Ridge Marpu. We saw Aiden Bryce also from Edgeworth. He, there's Darren Cooper looking towards middle. Aiden Bryce played rugby league, I think, till under 12s before he transferred over to soccer. So we'll say Ridge Marpu a bit more impressive in that regard. Chris Brown knocking it back in towards the middle, and Joseph Krajewski comes up with it, goes to Clements. An interesting start to the second half, Chris.
Sure is, and you're just talking about Marpu. what's even more impressive about him playing rugby league until the age of 18, was it 18 you said?
It was 18.
Or was that mine? Yeah, it was
No,
yours
no,
actually.
It was 18, yeah.
But he didn't play last year at all because he had an injury. So playing rugby league and then you don't play,
And
a
developing
full
the
season.
touch, that's the thing that gets me. Rugby league, you're barely controlling the ball with your foot at all. The only time you use your foot is to kick and to play the ball, really.
You learn your skills as a child, and Damien, you know this. You develop and hone them, from 5, 6 up to 12 and 13, and that's really set the platform for you. So for him to play another sport is very impressive. And our new best mate, Marpo, he's done particularly well because he's been in the game all game and he's looked a threat.
He's
so
probably
he's
been
very
the most
impressive.
threatening player for Valentine, I'd say. Clements gets clipped by Burrell. And referee wants Alex Burrell to come over to have a chat to him. He played well last week against Maitland, Alex Burrell, until he decided he would give Ryan Broadley a shove when he was on the ground. It was really a strange decision from Burrell to do that late on in the game, just inflaming the situation, really, in a match which already had a lot of drama.
Let's have a look at this situation, Damien. You're probably good at this one as well. Where is it too far to hit it, or do you have a strike? It's not a wet, greasy sort of day. The pitch is a little bit heavy. Or you float something over the back.
Here we go, Dan Johnson. We'll find out. Dan Johnson coming up. He goes for the shot. Go over the bar. Was that what you would have done, Damien? Looked for the shot from the free kick, or were you gone towards the back post?
I probably would have drifted it in around the penalty box just to see if there's a bit of a scrabble there. They haven't really tested the Valentine keeper out too much, so it would have been good time to test him out.
Here's Burrell turning the ball over. Matt Paul back into the middle to Grzeski. Grzeski was looking for Hakan Carnley, but pass deflected off a Valentine defender, but Carnley's got it off Pettit. Now he plays to Alex Reid. Alex Reid with a chance for Adamstown, and Alex Reid scores his first goal for the Rosebuds this season. I should say his second, Alex Reid. He scored against Broadmeadow in round 1, and he's on the board again for them.
That's great combination, link play, a couple of quick short passes that they've kept together very tight, and a terrific tight left sideways touch from Alex to open up the goals to finish it off. It's where he really comes into his game, Alex. He's very, very sharp in and around the box.
It was Reece Pettit there just turning the ball over, and that allowed the chance to eventuate for Adamstown.
That's right, and that was Hakan Carnley. He noticed the opportunity to pinch the ball off Reece Pettit, and that's where Hakan is at his best, playing balls through and beyond the defence. Great goal by Adamstown.
Ridge Marpu now to Burrell, and you'd probably say based on the opening 51 and a half minutes of the match, they probably deserved the lead. Valentine came out, played a lot better at the start of the second half, but it's Adamstown who get the go-ahead goal, and now it is Ridge Marpu on the far side. Can they respond now, Valentine? Still Ridge Marpu. Some pressure from Dan Johnson. And you're thinking now, Damien, that Adamstown are going to try and sit even deeper to try and protect this lead.
Ben, I was just about to say that. They're starting to sit a bit too deep. For my liking, they're sitting too deep as they came out for the second half. And that's where Valentine could put a bit of pressure on them in that first 7 or 8 minutes. However, now with Adamstown with the lead, they just better be careful they don't drop any deeper in defence.
Well, we saw Lambton and Edgeworth in round 1. Lambton got the lead in about the 51st minute. John Madrowski, very, very similar against Edgeworth, and then Lambton just sat back for the last 40 minutes or last 30 minutes, I should say, up until the 80th minute, and then Edgeworth grabbed a couple of goals just because Lambton were trying to protect that lead. So for Adamstown's sake, let's hope they don't make the same mistake.
Yeah, I think sitting back's going to be very dangerous for Adamstown today, so hopefully for their sake they don't.
They've got enough strike power, Valentine, Ridge Marpu, Olzema, the McGinley brothers as well. Scott McGinley yet to get off the mark this year. 20 goals last year in 22 matches. That's Hakan Carnley looking for the through ball, and he's in trouble, Hakan Carnley. He's gone down, but he looks to be all right. Exactly what the home fans wanted, a lead straight after half-time. Matt Paul is looking for Alex Reid again. We know how fast he is, Alex Reid. Big chance again for Alex Reid, who shoots and puts that one over.
That's what I was talking about, mainly on the right-hand side with Marpu pushing forward. Chris Brown had pushed quite forward then, which allowed space in beyond for Alex Reid to get to with the turnover. So Valentine better be careful as well, playing out from the back.
So equal leading scorer now, Alex Reid for Adamstown. 2 goals for him in 2016 with Matt Paul, and now Ridge Marpu taking on Matt Paul. Still Ridge Marpu, he's outpaced Matt Paul with possession. That was impressive.
You know, that last chance that we've had there, terrific ball from Matt Paul. That diagonal ball to see that he was on, and Reedy actually drifted back off a little bit, opened up some space, and he had himself in good position. But what was most impressive was that his first touch, his first thought is go to goal. And a lot of players won't do that. They'll just keep going in the direction of the ball. He changed direction, went to goal. Not the best choice in the end. I can see what he's trying to do to finish it.
Here's Swadling with the corner kick, looking for Burrell. Carter came out, just got a touch on it. Now Adamstown are going to make a change. Chris Berlin's coming on, so interesting move for them to make. Referee's just going to halt proceedings, is he? No, Valentine with the throw. Not yet to make the change, Adamstown. Alex Reid attempting to clear it away, but it'll only go as far as Darren Cooper. Yaxley now puts his boot through it. But look how deep Adamstown are now. Reese Pettit getting the ball well inside Adamstown's half, and Valentine really pushing forward. Burrell and Pettit just on the edge of the centre circle now. Is that ball in? Scott Carter takes it nicely. Well, McGinley and Carter have come together. And obviously, well, as Carter's raised forearm, that's what Scott McGinley's unhappy about.
I think Clements is in trouble here. He's limping in back play. I'm unsure what happened.
Yeah, Dan Clements is limping very heavily. And it's Alex Reid who's going to come off. So a very, 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 I'll say very again, that is a very interesting change for Adamstown. Bring Alex Reid off.
Yeah, it is. I mean, he's just scored a goal, and he was on track to almost pick up a second one. This may have been a premeditated move, but I'm not sure if it's one that you consider Damien and Ben, because we've got Clemo down.
Well, Alex Reid looks like he might be injured, actually. The trainer's just putting some tape on his leg, so I'm not sure what that is for Alex Reid.
It looks like a hamstring from this angle.
He may have done it in that run down the ground where he pulled the shot just wide of Bainamarco's goal and Valentine's goal.
Yeah, well, that'll make sense then if that's why Reedy's come off with an injury. Otherwise, I couldn't have seen that one coming. But, you know, interesting times now for Adamstown, because Clements he's definitely got a heavy limp. He's struggling. And looking across their bench, you know, we've got
Callum Gallagher, Alex Clark on the bench for Adamstown, and Justin Madalena. So and Tom Lino as well. Here's a header from Scott McGinley, trying to get one past Adamstown's keeper, Scott Carter. So a little bit of spice in this match from the McGinley and Carter confrontation. Here's Reese Pettit. There's never a dull moment when Valentine are on the park. Here's Burrell going over the top for Olzema. Olzema has the shot, and he's pulled that wide. Probably could have played it back to the middle there, Damien. Scott McGinley was there, and also Swadling was wide on this near side.
But even so, he had Carter off his line, and he's sort of going on towards goal, so I would have been a bit selfish as well and taken the shot. So what's going to be interesting now is Chris Berlin's come on for Alex Reid. They've moved Harkin on the right-hand side where Reid was and pushed Berlin up front where Harkin was. Already I've noticed Adamstown, Berlin staying nice and high. However, he's not dropping in defence. So it'll be interesting. There might be a few gaps open up, I think, in the Adamstown defence. But it'll be interesting to see what happens.
Yeah, what you're talking about there is specifically their lines are going to get bigger. But, you know, we've seen opportunities where the Valentine's been caught flat once or twice, and the speed of Berlin, if they do get flat, he's got the ability to get in behind them.
I definitely agree with that. I think Berlin could be a real threat here, especially if they can play to his strengths, balls in beyond so he can use his pace.
You were talking about before, Damien, how Adamstown are sitting very deep, but if Chris Berlin sits up nice and high like he's tending to do, and he's set himself that way already, then that might just help them drag them out, from the midfield through the defence, just drag them sort of up the park by him just being his presence that far up the park.
Yes, I agree with that, TC. However, they need to do it. I think Chris has stayed up quite high, but there was a big gap between him and Joe, Clements and Paulick. So the whole team needs to push together from the back line upwards.
Here's Dan Clements. He looked like he'd recovered from that injury that he sustained a few minutes ago. Here's Grajewski under pressure from Brown, and he finds his pass going straight to Josh Murray. Wide to Ridge Marpu now.
Yeah, he's definitely moving freer now, Clements. I don't know, maybe he had a bit of a cramp. I didn't really see what was going on there other than he was limping very heavily.
He's still just pulled up his...
Yeah, he's not comfortable.
Yeah, he does still look like he's a bit ginger from that challenge. And now it ricochets back to Darren Cooper. Darren Cooper. Scott Carter does well. Just lost sight of it. Yes, it's just the goal kick. We're looking over towards the assistant referee. Was the on-field referee. But just the goal kick for Scott Carter after all that.
Littlewood did well there, and he had Schreider on the inside covering him up also. But yeah, he got himself in good body position.
And here's Chris Berlin. He's going to be, we said he was going to be important for Adamstown, but just his ability to hold up the ball as well up front. It's going to be crucial for Adamstown at the back end of this one. Here's Reece Pettit.
Now this is where...
There's Dan Johnson almost going through his legs. Gets a shove in the back from Paul McGinley over there. Did Dan Johnson. Here's Swadling. Thought that was a handball against Yaxley, and the refs missed it again. I thought that's the third time now. Here's Hucken Carnley. Goes to Grajewski. Under pressure from Murray, and the free kick given away.
Good feed by Harkin then. Very composed on the ball. And also by Joe to win a free kick.
He's got great skills close to his body, hasn't he? He controls the ball really well. He's very deceptive. Just the ability to pull a metre or so away from people.
Here's Dane Paulick with the free kick. He chips it forward, looking for Matt Paul. Chris Berlin wins it back. Still Chris Berlin trying to play it through Reece Pettit. Chris Berlin yet to get off the mark this year for Adamstown. The throw for the Rosebuds, the home side, with a 1-0 lead here on Bar TV. Brought to you by Top Better. 16 minutes gone in the second half, round 3. Adamstown Rosebuds up against Valentine Phoenix. Bay and Amarco up the ground. And now Yaxley. And now Scott McGinley off the side of his boot and over the sideline.
Very good pressure by Yaxley then. He was a little bit caught out of position with the ball over the top. Then he put pressure on McGinley and made him kick it out. Well done, mate.
4 clean sheets last year for Adamstown. They were kept scoreless 4 times last year, so they've been yet to keep score. We've got the free kick going to Adamstown, but they haven't been kept scoreless yet this year, Adamstown. They haven't kept any clean sheets yet, but at the moment, they're heading in the right direction. So Will Cam's coming on the ground, and Josh Murray's going to head off for Valentine Phoenix.
Just while we've got half a break in play, Damien and I have just about finished our Marpu fan club sign.
Here's Chris Berlin now, playing it back to Hucken Carnley. Plays it into Chris Brown. Here's a chance for Valentine if they can move it quickly. Scott McGinley unable to get on the end of that. Now Clements gets a shove in the back, and Clements is in trouble.
I just noticed then Clements was running a lot freer until he got hacked down then, so it'd be interesting to see how he gets up from this.
He didn't seem to really do anything in that tackle there. He sort of just fell more than anything, but I wonder if that's just pre-existing from what he's had a few minutes ago. And
you can really tell Scott McGinley is getting very, very frustrated out there, the Valentine skipper.
Yeah, I know. That happens sometimes too. You got a bit of a clip. He's had a shove from Carter, maybe a bit of a high elbow, whatever that turned out to be. And he's frustrated.
Here's a little chip over the top, looking for Matt Paul. Matt Paul cutting it across the face. Chris Berlin was there, but it was well defended by Valentine. Here's Clements with a long-range shot, but it's well blocked. Still Clements coming in behind. Is this going to be our first card? The crowd baying for a yellow card, and it doesn't look like it's going to be. No yellow cards this afternoon.
We said at the start of the show that the fur on the ground's making the ball really hard to roll on. So I think having shots on goal.
Here's the free kick. Wide look, Chris Berlin. Reese Pettit was also there, but he let Chris Berlin get past him, and now Valentine a chance for them to counter-attack. Will Cam with some space down that far side of the ground now for the Phoenix. Goes to Olzema. Still with Brenton Olzema. And just a goal kick. Relieving some pressure for the Rosebuds. Well defended again by them.
Yeah, Olzema might be a bit disappointed with that. He's just overrun it a fraction, but to be honest, he didn't look like he had a whole lot of support. Not too much he could do with it. Adamstown, Chris Berlin, you can see sitting right nice and high up on the last line there. So hopefully he's dragging them out. Damien, do you see them getting out a bit further than what they were earlier?
Here's Dan Johnson on the ball. Valentine players surrounding him there, but he did well. Schrader back to Scott Carter in goals.
One thing I've noticed in this second half that Valentine are putting a lot more pressure on the ball, especially in midfield. So hopefully that might help them out later in the game.
Mapu going down the line, the ball refusing to go out, cutting back inside. Now Scott Carter, well, here's a risky move from Scott Carter, and he does well. Again, he doesn't mind coming out of his box, Scott Carter. He does a good job there, again for Adamstown. Ridge Mapu under pressure from Chris Berlin. And now Reese Pettit on the ball at the back for Valentine. You just sense here, building up, they're bringing it wide, playing a lot wider now in the second half, Valentine, with a lot more space. Ridge Mapu on that far side, and then Josh Swaddling on this near side. And Swaddling on the ball now. Still Swaddling. Trying to get inside Dan Clements. Gee, that's a good tackle from Adamstown skipper. And now Huckin Carnley. No pressure on him at all. He tries to find Grajewski. Cooper. Now Brown. McGinley. Trying to find Will Cam, but it's gone to his opposite number, Matt Paul. And now Dan Johnson for Adamstown. 100%
agree with Damien's comment before. Smudge just said that Valo are putting a lot more pressure on the ball, and that's causing Adamstown. We spoke about them keeping possession. They're turning the ball over a lot more, playing it longer, whereas earlier they were playing it shorter, and the game's opened up. As a result of this, this is where goals open. Here's McGinley now, down the far side, cutting it back into the middle. And Olzema was looking for his fourth of the year, and he put it just wide. Scott Carter, for once, didn't look comfortable there. Chris, you're exactly right. Valentine put a lot of pressure on Adamstown's midfield, which is causing a few turnovers there and making Adamstown go long. So Valentine is slowly crawling themselves back into this game. So, well, how exciting has the last 5-10 minutes been? Probably since the goal from Adamstown. Now that Valentine have to go for the equaliser. And the width they are playing with compared to the first half of the match was very much down that middle third of the ground. And now it really has opened up, Damien. This last 25 minutes or so of the match is going to be entertaining stuff. But the substitution that was made, Chris Berlin go up front. Now we don't have Harkin that's there going to hold the ball up. Adamstown aren't getting the short passes in like they were before, and it's likely as a result of that positional change. Here's Ridge Mapu. Oh, Scott Carter has to tip that one over the bar. Well done again. This is why we're seeing some of the game open right up now. And you're right, Damien. Chris Berlin, he's going to be the guy that gets in behind him. He's not holding. He's doing a great job on keeping the line high. But it's definitely opened the game up, that's for sure. Similar to what happened on Friday night, Edgeworth dominated the opening 20. And then here's the ball. Josh Swaddling putting that cross straight over the byline. But the match on Friday night, Edgeworth shot out to a 2-0 lead. And then from that point onwards, the Jets youth just clawed their way back into the game, got it back to 2-1, probably should have had it at 2, got the score back to 2-2. Then Edgeworth sort of pulled away, and from that point they made it 3-1, and then it was always going to be tough for the Jets. So just very similar here, Valentine, just as you were saying, Damien, just pulling their way back into this match. And here is Carter with the goal kick up towards halfway. Darren Cooper rises. No pressure from Adamstown there. It was surprising. Here's Will Cam. Goes to McGinley back into the middle. Littlewood letting it run down. And we've got an offside against Scott McGinley. And
The free kick goes the way of Adamstown, and Scott Carter will take it for them.
Coming up to the 24th minute mark, and this game's right up open for the taking either side here, and it could go either way with, you know, solid 20 plus minutes to go. Next goal is very, very important.
Well, both sides really would want the 3 points. Adamstown, if they get the 3 this afternoon, they'll go up probably into about 5th or 6th. If Valentine get the 3, they could go up as high as 3rd or 4th. So really just to consolidate their spot on the ladder after Edgeworth and Hamilton have flown away. We'll try and get those scores from the other grounds, actually. Western up against Broadmeadow Magic at Bear Park. That was a surprising score at the break, 0-0. So Western taking it to Magic. We've got a free kick going Valentine's way after Oldsmar was taken down by Owen Littlewood.
Be interesting to see what Darren Sills had to say at half-time, because they've come out and they are definitely putting a lot more pressure on the ball. I wonder if that was his instruction, because if it was, it's working.
So we've got Charlestown City leading Maitland 1-0 at half-time, and Western and Magic at 0-0. So that is a very interesting scoreline. Charlestown up against Maitland. But in saying that, it's interesting. You look at the players Maitland have got, and you say, well, it's interesting because they've got such a high-quality lineup. But the way Maitland have played the opening 2 rounds, it probably isn't that surprising. They probably haven't gelled as well as what many would have thought. I think they'll come good at the back end of the year, Maitland, just with a lot of new players in that lineup.
Look, you could say the same for Adamstown, because they've got 9 new players into their squad this year, and when you've got that many people, it's hard to bring it together, but that's what your pre-season's for.
Here is Oldsmar, back to McGinley. McGinley with a shot with his left, goes past the far post, and it's a corner kick. I was just going to say, Chris, you're exactly right. That is what the pre-season's for, isn't it?
Yeah.
Getting those new players in, but it is different on the pitch, isn't it? It is different once you get out there.
Oh, it is different, but I can say, you know, and Damien would be the same point of view, because we've had this discussion before. You build tactics and strategies around the players that you've got, understand what their individual strengths and weaknesses are, and you build a strategy around your group, you know, that can be interchangeable, can be flexible, but you use a foundation to make it happen.
They go short with the corner for Swaddling, and that's really a waste from Valentine. Groan here from the Valentine fans. Joe Grajewski. And now Darren Cooper. Well, there was a chance for Adamstown on the break, but Adamstown, Valentine did well. Chris Berlin taking down Reese Pettit, and he gets a yellow card. Well, it's not Chris Berlin going into the book. It's Paulick that's gone in with the yellow card for kicking the ball away.
So, Damien, what do you think? You know, Darren Sills, half-time, is he... you know, I'm guessing he might have been saying that, you know, we need to put more pressure on them. They've got too much possession on the ball. We need to turn it over a little bit more. What do you think he's had to say?
Well, just Reese Pettit with the ball forward. Burrell playing it wide to Will Cam, who keeps it inside. And another corner.
I totally agree with you, Chris. I think Darren Sills would have been fairly happy at half-time. They were pretty solid in defence. However, they weren't putting enough pressure on the ball in midfield. Second half, they put a lot of pressure on the ball. Adamstown starting to do a bit of turnover. Here's
McGinley. They go short again, Valentine. Didn't work for them last time, but they're going to try again, and now an offside. Well, that's 2 wasted corners from Valentine. They've tried the short corner twice in a row. Is it time to give the short corner away?
Even though Valentine's down 1-0, I think Darren Sills will be reasonably happy the way they've been playing in the second half. I think they're still in this game, but they're definitely in this game. And I think if they keep putting pressure on Adamstown's back 4 in midfield, I think they could pinch a goal soon.
So 27 and a half gone in the second half. Scott Carter goes to Matt Paul. A great touch to Grajewski, who looks through for Matt Paul. Reese Pettit doing well defensively for Valentine. Goes to Chris Brown. Under pressure from Matt Paul, Chris Brown. Plays a lovely ball up the line to Paul McGinley. It goes to his brother Scott, and Scott's touch just not heavy enough there. Scott wins it back, goes to his brother Paul. Paul McGinley goes down and wins the free kick for Valentine.
Valentine have definitely stepped up the tempo here. They've become more aggressive, and I think a few of their players are getting a little bit frustrated, so they're trying to rev the rest of the boys up.
Well, there was Reece Pettit. He was looking for Paul McGinley, but Paul McGinley unable to keep it inside the line. Well, Western, we've heard that there was nearly a punch-up in the Western Magic game, so obviously temper's running high up there. Magic and Western at 0-0, so that is a very interesting scoreline going on what Broadmeadow Magic did in round one to Adamstown. It was a demolition job at Magic Park and makes our match on Wednesday night even more interesting live on Bar TV. The round two catch-up match, it's Broadmeadow Magic taking on Lambton Jaffers at Magic Park. And Paul McGinley goes off, going on is Mark Finlayson for Valentine at the back for them. So the throw going the way of the home side. Yaxley will take it for them, and he goes up the line, looking for Chris Berlin. And Adamstown win the free kick.
I just noticed the tactical change for Valentine. They moved Mapu to the left-hand side, obviously trying to exploit the space in behind the right fullback of Adamstown.
So Ridge Mapu walking past it. I should say Adamstown with the free kick, not Valentine. Paulick goes down the line. Played into Chris Berlin. He plays it back to Grajewski. Now Huckin Carnley. Still Huckin Carnley. Goes to Yaxley. And Dan Yaxley running along the byline. Keeps it in. And it's gone over. It's gone over the byline. Adamstown fans not impressed with that one, but assistant referee saying it went over for a goal kick. So Reece Pettit at the back.
That's the first time Yaxley's actually gone forward in the first half. I mean, in the second.
As McGinley's got cleaned up. Well, is he off here? It is. It's a red card. Well, 2 yellow cards in the match, and they've both gone to the same man, and he's off. Dane Paulick. And Dane, this is going to make it even harder for Adamstown now. Down to 10 men.
I think Graham Law's disappointed with the referee here. He's saying that Dane Paulick got a first yellow for kicking the ball away, which was, I don't know, it was a tough call, I thought.
Well, I did as well. I thought it was a very tough call because it was instantaneous. Yes. He would kick the ball just as the whistle blew. And now with Matt Paul. Still Matt Paul, he goes down. The free kick goes to Adamstown.
Referee needs to be a bit careful here because the players can sense a little bit of loss of control.
Yeah, and Olzheimer goes into the book. We saw that last week, Valentine and Maitland. The referee really lost control of that one early on.
Graham Law is absolutely steaming down there. He's steaming. He's got to make some good decisions here because Chris Berlin's not the sort of player you want to drop back into the middle of the park, Damien, and he's going to stay nice and high. So effectively, you may miss a midfielder.
And Madeleine is going to go on. Madalena is going on for Adamstown. It's going to be Yaxley that's coming off. So big call from Graham Law, bringing off Dan Yaxley.
Yeah, I agree with you there, Chris, about Chris Berlin. However, his work rate and work ethic is very strong. So even if he drops back a little bit deeper, his defensive duties will not change and we'll work hard.
Well, here's Grajewski. He finds Chris Berlin, who turns and shoots and scores. And Chris Berlin gets his first of the season. And he couldn't have picked out the top corner any better, could have he?
And wow, what a moment for Chris Berlin. We're just saying he stays nice and high. And Damien, that was actually the case. He stays there. And what a wonderful turn and strike.
Great turn and strike by Chris Berlin. I've seen many of those in my day when he was playing at Magic. But his body position, the way he held the defender off and turn was top class. And the way he finished it was, yeah.
What's happened with Adamstown is they've had a long period of the first half where they had lots of possession. They've kept the ball. Things have changed now. It's a new game. They've got one man off. They've got Chris Berlin still sitting nice and high for them. And the game's definitely still way open for either side. Valentine are far from done yet. And I think we've still got about 12, 13, 14 minutes to go if you're going to include extra time.
Here's Will Cam down the far side of the end. He goes down. But that turn from Chris Berlin, Damien, you said it was a brilliant turn. And then he found the top corner. Couldn't have picked it out any better. Hit the corner of the netting. Was a precise shot from Chris Berlin. He scored 1 goal last year for Broadmeadow. He wasn't used as much as probably what he'd like as this one swung in. Scott Carter comes and punches. Darren Cooper getting across. He had just the 1 goal last year. Chris Berlin, he scored it against Adamstown, and I'm pretty sure it was here. I think Magic won 4-1 that day, and he scored a goal against Adamstown. So he loves Adamstown Oval.
And the thing is there, Chris Berlin knew exactly what he was going to do about 2 seconds before the ball actually came to him. You could tell his body position, he was trying to shield the ball, and he knew where he was going to turn. Great goal, Chris.
Here's Chris Berlin trying to get on the ball again.
I agree. I mean, you're right, Damien. He knew exactly what he was going to do. It was just a matter when it was floated in, whether it was going to clear the defender. And if he did, he already had that move predetermined in his head and finished it perfectly.
Here's Chris Brown. He finds Olzema, who got a yellow card moments before. Chris Brown goes in on Chris Berlin. And Brown has a little chat to Chris Berlin, who pushes him away. And now Darren Cooper gets involved. So the referee just needs to calm things down from both sides here. Now, did they play at Magic, Damien? Did those two play at Magic at all?
Yes, they did, but unsure if they played at the same time. Just on Chris Berlin, he did a lot of boxing in his junior days, and I think he was, I don't know if he was a state champion or not. So he doesn't mind a little bit of a fisticuff every now and again, I think.
You might want to yell out to Brownie.
Yeah, we better just warn Brownie that he can throw a few when he wants to, but obviously it's calmed down now. So.
And now the referee's going to have a chat to Chris Berlin and Chris Brown as well, the two Chris's. And both captains as well in there as well. Darren Cooper's joining. It's a meeting. There's 5 players in there. I've never seen that many players in a meeting with the referee.
Well, in table tennis terms, I think Brownie's put that one under the net.
It looked like they're all going to Prince of Wales for dinner. They're just trying to work out what they're going to have for dinner.
You're going to order the lamb cutlets. I'll have the schnitzel.
I think whatever Brownie's having, it's medium rare.
Here's Littlewood going across to the far side. Well kept in over there by Madalena. And now with Olzema. Scored in both of their matches, Valentine, this year. Not yet today. They haven't been kept scoreless, Valentine, much in the last couple of seasons. Just once last year, Valentine. So they're not used to going through a match without scoring. Reese Pettit goes to Burrell. Burrell up and over the top, looking for Ridge Marpu. There's space out here for Chris Brown. He turns away from Chris Brown and now plays it to McKinley, who shoots and puts it wide.
As I said earlier, Adamstown better be a little bit careful here. You've got Burling just up nice and high. There's a big gap in midfield there, especially with 10 players. I think if I was Graham Lord, probably dropped Burling back just a little bit deeper. There's just under 10 to go. They're up 2-0, and deservedly so. To finish this game off, I think Burling just needs to just drop a little bit deeper in defence.
A beautiful autumn afternoon here at Adamstown Oval. Adamstown, the home side, with a 2-0 lead over Valentine. Alex Reid and Chris Berlin with the goals. Matt Paul playing it across, looking for Hucken Carnley. And Hucken Carnley and Darren Cooper, shoulder to shoulder. Darren Cooper goes down and wins the free kick. Graham Law again looks displeased with the decision. And Cooper over the top, looking for Ridge Marpu. He's got more pace than Dan Johnson. Still Ridge Marpu, playing it back towards Olzema. Olzema across to Swadling. I don't know what he was trying to do there, and Dan Clements will run around and try and get around Swadling. Clements holding him off. Madalena goes back to Littlewood. And now with Grajewski. And that one not really looking for Chris Berlin, but just relieving the pressure for Adamstown. We've been going 37.5 minutes.
You can see Graham Law there from the sideline asking Chris Berlin just to drop a little bit deeper, just to make that defence a bit more compact, because they've got 10 players, so they just better be careful.
Yeah, and you spoke about the ability of Chris to his high work rate. So if he drops back in, he's got the ability to get himself back up on nice and high again.
He's got the ability to score big goals, doesn't he, Chris Berlin? In 2011, he was the grand final player of the match when Broadmeadow Magic won that grand final. Damien, were you the coach that day for Broadmeadow, 2011?
I'm just trying to remember. No, I think it was my good mate Robert Vigili and Bobby Newmoff that day. So
2011, yep.
I honestly can't remember when I finished.
It's all right. That's all right. Scott Carter.
What did you have for breakfast this morning?
Scott Carter with the free kick up the ground. Matt Paul and Chris Berlin over there, and Matt Paul with some space in front of him now. Beautiful skill from Matt Paul. He comes to Marco, and he slices his shot wide. So another change for Valentine. Coming on the park for them is number 14, Reece Newton, and going off is Darren Cooper. Central Coast product, Darren Cooper, and he goes to the bench. Just a quick reminder, Wednesday night, we've got Broadmeadow Magic up against the Lambton Jaffers. Chris, you won't be there, but Damien will be with me on Wednesday night, 6:30 p.m. Should be a good battle at Magic Park. Now a ball over the top. Chris Brown is going to try and track that one down. Plays it back towards the middle. And we've got an offside. Got an offside. It's gone over. It's gone over the byline, I think. Chris Brown's left the arena. So not much time left now for Valentine to get back into it. If they can grab one goal, I think anything can happen. But it's finding that goal that's going to prove tough with Adamstown. They've got 5 really pushed back really deep for them. Here's a ball in towards the middle. Hucken Carnley. Can he do something special for Adamstown? He goes to Matt Paul, who he set up last week.
If we just look really quickly between the attack and where the midfield is, there's a massive gap, and that's going to be the key in the last 10 minutes on Adamstown's success here, whether they can keep that clogged up.
Here's Madalena with the long-range shot, and that one goes wide. Amarco with the goal kick. He's going to have to go quickly. Just over 40 and a half gone in the second half. It's Adamstown 2 leading Valentine 0.
Yeah, you said before, Smudge, that these big holes in the middle of the park, and you can really start to see them up. When Adamstown have got the ball, Chris Berlin forward. Let's have a look next time how big that gap is and whether they manage that for the last 7 or 8 minutes.
Ridge Marpu. Reece Pettit has made a run downfield.
Yes.
And now Chris Brown on the ball. Goes to Marpu, back to McGinley. Dan Clements and McGinley. Shoulder to shoulder. Clements wins the ball. And now with Matt Paul. He's got Madalena on the far side now.
Adamstown's been very cautious here. They're not pushing men forward when they win the ball, which is smart thing to do, especially with 10 players.
Matt Paul now with Madalena. That's the other thing I've forgotten. Adamstown only 10 players out there since Dane Paulick was sent off. They scored their second goal, Chris Berlin. And stepping is Swaddling. It sits up McGinley with a shot, deflecting off a few Adamstown players, and now it's played wide. Swaddling will track that one down. He's turned it over. Matt Paul and Madalena on that far side. Now Chris Berlin goes back to Grudjewski. It's been good today, Joe Grudjewski. And now Matt Paul again on the far side, probing down that left sideline. Back to Madalena. Just controlling possession. They've controlled possession beautifully this afternoon, haven't they, Adamstown?
Yeah, they have been. And Adamstown's been smart here. Matty Paul just taking his time on the ball, winding the clock down. That's what they need, especially 2-0 up with a few minutes to go and with 10 players.
Here's Hucken Carnley. Really, I think, if my memory serves me correctly, the only real chance Valentine had was that first one early on, the shot from Josh Swaddling, which Scott Carter saved. So, apart from that, Adamstown's defence has been rock solid.
Yeah, and the other thing that happened, Daniel Johnson has pushed forward a little, and Daniel Clements has gone into that left fullback position, which is not unfamiliar to him. So that's smart because he's had a big game today, like a real big one, and he'll sleep extra well tonight.
Here's Ridge Marpu. Valentine this year sponsored by Fast Track Property Investments.
And Berlin working very hard back in there in defence, which is really going to be...
Swaddling looking for long-range shot again. Again, deflecting off Adamstown defenders. Ridge Marpu playing it in towards Chris Brown. Another handball we seen any handballs blown up today? I don't think so. It's been about 4 or 5.
Yeah, exactly. And I think at least 3 of them should have been handball.
There's now wide Madalena. Huck and Carnley. Just that control on the ball. Just think comes from his futsal, playing futsal. That close control, and he comes away through Will Cam now for Valentine. Played towards the middle. That's going to be gobbled up by Scott Carter every day of the week. And he's been brilliant for Adamstown today as well, Scott Carter.
I was just about to say that, Ben. I think Scott Carter, the addition of Scott Carter today for round 3 has been a massive bonus for Adamstown. He's organised the defence well, and he's been rock solid at the back.
Chris Brown now. Valentine find a late goal. Swaddling. In towards Will Camp.
So to have any chance, they've got to really pull something out now. You'd probably think maybe 2 to 3 minutes of extra time. So they need one now.
Here's a ball over the top looking for Olsma. Just too heavy. Scott Carter hanging on to it while it was on the ground.
And also the body language of the Valentine's players. They look a little bit deflated at the moment. So Paul McGinley is still working hard in defence here.
Here is Scott McGinley now. Goes towards Olsma. And now Will Cam. Going wide to Marpua. Has the shot. Well blocked by Madalena. And now a little bit of push and shove in the goal mouth now. I'm not sure what happened there. It was Olsma and one of the Adamstown defenders. I'm not sure. May have been Littlewood. Swaddling's going to run over and take it, and Adamstown looks like they're going to run the clock down a little bit more with a substitution after this corner. It's going to be Alex Clark who is going to come on. The next stoppage after the corner. No, looks like they're going to make it now. So those other scores, Charlestown 1-0 over Maitland in the 76th minute. And Magic and Western, we're thinking it's 0-0 at the moment. We've got a yellow card going to Huck and Carnley now. Nil all Western and Magic, I've been told. So Huck and Carnley goes into the book for a yellow card. Well, I don't quite understand that. Here's Scott Carter knocking it away. And Dan Clements, he's got Clark who's up now halfway. There's a Valentine player down in the box, and not good scenes late in this match. Reese Pettit was down. I've just got to calm down because you don't want to get a red card and miss out next week. Now the assistant's got his flag up. The last thing you want to do is be sent off in the last minute and then miss a week because of utter stupidity. You just do not want it.
You don't need to do that, and you want your more experienced players out in the park to start to calm things down. Interesting to see Scott Carter's not involved in this because he's normally first one there. Good news for him because he's been a huge asset, as you said before, Smudge, for Adamstown in their result. Daniel Clements had a really good game. I think our new best friend, Marp, who's done very well for
We got Valentine. A red card. Well, who is it? It's not Scott Carter, is it? Has Scott Carter been sent off? Well, this is unbelievable.
Well, it is unbelievable because I certainly didn't see anything happen. It must have been all verbal.
Well, Scott Carter has been given the red card. That's 2 now for Adamstown. Graham Law cannot believe it.
This is an absolute tragedy for Adamstown. It really is.
And Chris Berlin's going to go in goal, so this is a bit of comedy. So it's a penalty to Valentine. Well, I cannot believe what I'm seeing. And Adamstown can't use their backup keeper because they've already made their last change. Well, and Scott Carter's going to miss next week. I'm just checking Adamstown next week. Next week, Adamstown are taking on Charlestown. As we said, we've got that match live on Bar TV, and he's going to be out for that one. For Valentine, they're meeting the Jaffers, so that's a big match for them. But here we go. Chris Berlin just getting his shirt on.
Just on Chris Berlin, he's played goals a few times before, and I remember at Magic at training, he's always wanted to go in goals, and he's pretty sharp across that line. So
can he make a big save?
I wouldn't put it past him.
Well, Scott McGinley had his penalty saved by Matt Trott. Had a penalty saved by Matt Trott last week. So can he get on the board for Valentine in 2016? Here is Scott McGinley. McGinley runs in. Oh, and Chris Bullen's made the save. Well, Chris, you said he loves being a goalkeeper at training. And here's Ridge Marpu with a shot. Chris Bullen, what a save. Striker turned goalkeeper. He'll be in goals next week for him at this rate. What an outstanding save. And Scott McGinley now, 2 penalties in 2016, and he's had both of them saved.
For some reason, I was pretty confident in Chris in saving that, because I'll tell you what, he does quite well between the sticks. He's pretty sharp.
Not his best goal kick. Now Reece Pettit with a long-range shot. And Chris Bullen catches that one. The crowd goes up again. Well, the 2 red cards that were given to Adamstown today, I must admit, both of them I don't know what happened with Scott Carter, but the first yellow card that Dane Paulick got, I didn't understand why that was given, because it was a yellow card for kicking the ball away. We'll put it back in the middle. We'll just see if Valentine can create another chance. Reece Pettit going wide. So just repeating, Chris Bullen in goals for Adamstown. And now Alex Clark on the far side. But the first yellow card that Dane Paulick got as this one runs down, and it'll just be a goal kick for Chris Bullen. First yellow card, the whistle was blown simultaneously with Paulick kicking the ball away. Got a yellow card, and then the second was a yellow card offence, and he gets sent off for it. And I'm not the biggest fan of the first yellow card being handed out like candy. And then you make a challenge, which is a yellow card offence, and you've pretty much not deserved to be sent off for that.
Yeah, I agree with you, Ben. However, there's two sides to that. I thought the first yellow card was pretty hard done by. However, when you're on a yellow card, you still have to be careful when you're making challenges. So I think Dane will be a bit disappointed in himself going in for that challenge, even though knowing Dane, he's a hard player, and always likes to win the ball.
And now McGinley going over the top.
Graham Law is absolutely seething down there. You can see he's not happy. He knows how important Carter is to the team.
And next week against Charlestown, that's a big match for Adamstown as well. So Burrell now down towards the far sideline. And that is full time. So a dramatic match. The home side get away with a 2-0 victory. And they deserve it, don't they, Chris? They deserve this victory.
They certainly did. I mean, this game's had it all just when you thought it was all over, and we had a penalty probably in about the 46th minute. Chris Berlin goes from striker to defender in the ultimate end, from end to end for him. And ultimately, you'll see Graham Law coming off here. He'll be happy with a win, but he's certainly not happy with the way things have panned out for the club or the team in the end of the day.
Well, you look at that, 3 points for Adamstown. It looked great, probably 15 minutes to go, but all of a sudden, 2 red cards. They're both going to be out for next week in a big match against Charlestown, who are leading Maitland at the moment. So that's a huge match. So it's still 1-0 in the 82nd minute in that one. Under
normal circumstances, Graham would be going in with some confidence next week that he's going to have a team capable of beating Azuri. What's interesting now is he's got to come up with a strategy this week that's going to compensate for a team that's coming off victory against a very strong Maitland side. So he's got some thinking to do. He's capable of doing it, and he's certainly going to be testing the depth of his squad.
And also,
there you go, Damien.
Yeah, and also Alex Reid came off. It looked like he was clutching his hamstring, so he might be out next week as well. But the big thing is Scott Carter is going to be a massive loss for them next week. He was a rock today. He organised the defence. He made some crucial saves at the right time, especially the Valentine's first shot, which could have swayed the game either way. However, ultimately, 3 points today from 2 desperate sides is a great result for Graham Law.
And I think it changes the game totally. Scott Carter's performance today, I'd probably say he gets red carded, so he probably can't get man of the match if you get red carded. But if he doesn't get red carded, he probably is the best player on the park.
Yeah, and there's no doubt. And look, we were saying before, I didn't see anything in what was happening. It must have been verbal for him to get sent off. So I was actually giving him a rap saying that he stayed off it. So hopefully he doesn't get more than 1 to 2 weeks.
I'm unsure, but I think a straight red is an automatic 2 weeks. So
it's automatic 2 weeks, is it?
I think so. And I don't know if he's got any carryover points from last year.
And he got red carded. This is actually his first match back from suspension. He missed last week with a wedding, but this is his first match back from suspension in the FFA Cup, and now he's out again. So that's a huge blow for Adamstown.
Yeah, and it looks like Alex Reed's saying he's hurt his quad, so hopefully he can be right in time for next games against Charlestown.
Yeah, next week against Charlestown. Should be a good one next Sunday.
Well, he certainly came on with some, good speed. His touch has been good. He was playing lots of one-touch football, and he's definitely a good asset for him, and a terrific finish that he's put away there and then created or got on the end of another chance. So he's busy for them. Graham Law said before, he's got some thinking to do, and he's going to have to test out the depth of his squad.
Well, boys, thank you so much for joining me this afternoon. It was a cracking battle. Adamstown with the 2-0 win over Valentine here at Adamstown Oval. Now, Wednesday night, we've got Broadmeadow Magic and Lambton Jaffers, and that should be a cracking battle at Magic Park. Damien, you'll be there for that one. Do you just want to say a few words about that contest?
Yeah, I'm looking forward to it. Actually, I'm looking forward to the tactical battle between James Pascoe, who's just come back from the Jets, been assistant at the Jets, and the experienced NPL coaches of Rob Virgili and Bobby Newmoff. I think tactically it's going to be a very interesting battle, but also there's some experienced campaigners in there like Joe Wheelhouse and Peter Haynes. So looking forward to that match and calling on Wednesday night.
Yeah, Wednesday night should be a cracker. 6:30. Join us then. Until then, it's been awesome to have your company here at Adamstown Oval this afternoon. Full time here on Bar TV. It finished Adamstown Rosebuds 2, Valentine Phoenix 0.